Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, United States of America. And of course, it is a great good morning for the rest of the world. Folks, we are going to have a great show for you today. I had it all planned out. Then I read some headlines and I said, you know what? Before I get into the subject, I'm going to talk a little bit about these as well. But as usual, before we get started, we want to go to our one lonesome in the studio this morning, which is the one and only Jack Van Bever. Good morning, Jack. I hope things have kind of straightened out for you in the studio. How's it going?
It's going all right. Yeah, we just had a little snafu, but we got through it.
Well, you know, what can I say? The geniuses are keeping the tin cans together. Did you have time to say, well, I do want to give a little bit of good word to our audience?
Yeah, I did something for Halloween today. You know, I met a ghoul last night and I asked her to be my ghoul friend. But when she bit into my heart, I didn't even realize I was dead. Now I'm a zombie for love.
Did you write that?
Yeah.
I like it.
This morning.
I was
thinking about it last night, but okay. Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody. And it is Fun Drive.
Yes, it is Fun Drive, folks. 713-526-5738. But as usual, we are going to give you a good show. All we ask for you to do is to give us a call at 713-526-5738. Hit that extension number 1 and say, yes, I want to keep Politics Done Right on the air, so I am going to contribute to Politics Done Right. Folks, before I get started, let me just ask you, like I've told you every single morning, this show is responsible for raising at least $5,000. That I think turned out to be a little bit over than $300 a day. Well, because there are, in fact, a few days that we fell behind in making that. I think I'll say we need to kind of raise like $380 a month, a day till the end of the fund drive right now. It would be great if we got an angel that says, you know what, Egberto, we're going to close it out for you and give you $1,000 here, $500 here, because we have some extra money in the bank and we want to do good by society to keep the good information coming. But if you can't do that, you can't be an angel this morning, please consider becoming a sustainer at KPFT. And how can you do that? Just call 713-526-5738, hit extension 1 and tell them that you want to contribute in the name of Politics Done Right. And there are many options that you have. One, you can just give whatever you want, a one-time contribution of whatever amount you want. That's imperative for you to know. You can give whatever you want. You can give $1. You can give $1,000. You can give $10,000. Doesn't matter. We would just like to have our listeners who enjoy what we're doing, who see the value in what we're doing, to say, I want to be a part of giving that value to the rest of our society. And why is that? Because what everybody does, that one thing called voting, everybody's vote affects us all. So shouldn't we want folks informed by sources that's not going to lie to them, that's going to be truthful to them? That's what we do here. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. If you decide to become a sustainer, you can be a sustainer for $5 a month. That is like saying, I want to buy Politics Done Right a coffee a month buy KPFT a coffee a month in the name of Politics Done Right. Maybe you want to do 2 coffees a month. That's $10 a month. And, you don't miss that. It's there. Many people give $100 and something to the cable news or the cable company to lie to them or to entertain them a bit. Why not consider just giving, $10 a month or so to KPFT to keep us on here? That's what personally I as an activist, as a full-time activist right now, I can't afford to do more. But what I do is, by the way, I don't get paid to do this, but I give KPFT $10 a month as a sustainer, my little contribution, as well as the time to do the show. We have somebody like our brother in the studio, Van Bever. He drives every single morning from the Galveston area into the studio in the middle of Houston on his own dime as a great volunteer, because he understands what we need to do for a positive America. 713-526-5738. Extension 1 to give. If you want to be on air, extension number 2. And to be on air with me, doesn't matter what ideology you are, doesn't matter what party you are, doesn't matter who you are. I speak to everyone. I respect everyone. I ask you to give us a call and support the program. 713-526-5738. All right. Before I start the show, Jack, anything else you want to add to that, or do I get into the show?
No, I just would like all the ghouls and zombies out there to get real in a trance real good and pull out your plastic and call 713-526-5738 and extension 1 and donate, or kpft.org.
Thank you, my brothers and sisters. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. We need that support. We need that support now. So please, so kindly to do so. Title of the show today: Netanyahu hurts Biden. I'm not talking the actual mechanics of the Israeli-Hamas issue. I said I will not do that on my show on air, the KPFT show. I do it at 3 o'clock on my other internet show. Now, but I need to make this mention about Netanyahu and Biden. This is actual domestic politics. That would be a Houston mayor is incompatible with election deniers and escalation. Again, I won't go into the topic of the Israeli-Hamas war specifically, but I want to talk a little bit about escalation. All right. But this morning, as I sat down and I started to arrange what I'm going to start with, because, generally I start with something you guys call in because it's your show, and it, in the depths of my heart, it is your show. I would stay on that subject and tell you to go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to get all the subjects that I was initially going to talk about. And that will always apply. You come first. On the internet, we have Valves BTW. Valves, by the way, says, "Hey, what's up? What's up, Senor Valdes?" Okay. All right. But this morning, as I was listening to the news and realized that the GDP went up by 4.9%, I said, let me go ahead and do a little bit of, reading on the GDP, because I knew it went up, but I didn't follow. But 4.9% is a huge number for such an old economy like ours, a huge economy like ours. A 4.9% GDP is huge. And this is how the New York Times characterized it. It says gross domestic product expanded at 4.9% annual rate over the summer, powered by prodigious consumer spending, but the pace is not expected to be sustained, right? Anytime we get positive news, apparently in this under this administration on the economy, we always have the naysayers. And so far, the naysayers, every time they say this won't continue or whatever, it turns out to be wrong. Although this time there are some headwinds because people have to start repaying student loans that the Republicans decided they were going to sue the Biden administration to prevent them from forgiving student loans. And, I believe in forgiving student loans because a lot of it, I think, was provided to students in a fraudulent environment. But we can discuss that another day, not today. But anyway, and the fraudulent, I'm not talking just fraud. I'm talking about just the implications of why they should get a student loan. But so there are bills that are going to come due to the average American, like student loans, etc., that will mitigate the spending. And since most of the spending that created that GDP was consumer spending, it may take a hit, assuming we don't get what's called the acceleration of money but we can go into that when we have an entirely economic program. But so they started. The United States economy surged in the third quarter. A strong job market and fallen inflation gave consumers the confidence to spend freely. As inflation drops and your wages go up a little bit, or not so, or stayed without, moving less than inflation. That also, with the way GDP is calculated, that also increases the GDP. Ultimately, more is produced in net, and you have more buying power. Gross domestic product, a primary measure of economic output, grew at 4.9% annualized rate from July through September, the Commerce Department reported Thursday. The pace exceeded forecasts and was the strongest showing since late 2021, defying predictions of a slowdown prompted by Federal Reserve interest rates. Well, let's stop there. Remember, the Feds, because they want to keep inflation low in their estimation, and the way to do that in their estimation is to put another tax on the average American person, so that instead of their monies going to buy goods and services, it goes in a banker's pocket by having a higher interest rate. And the bankers, of course, when the Feds increase the interest rate the banks borrow at, the banks doesn't increase it by the rate the interest of what Feds do. They usually do it more, costing you more, taking your money and going into the banker's pocket, as opposed to you buying more milk for your baby, more bread for your home, more clothes for yourself, or being able to save away for your college, the student's college. Okay, so that's what they're doing. They're taking your money away when they say, oh, they're raising the interest rates to control inflation. What they're saying is they're begging you to buy less so that they'll force the corporate structure to keep prices the same, not increase the prices, or and sometimes lower the prices. But here's the problem, right? The easier way to do this would simply to admonish corporations and say, don't raise prices if your costs aren't going up, which is what inflation is. Inflation is simply raising prices. That's all. And government doesn't raise prices. The Feds don't raise prices. Private companies, corporations raise prices. And those raised prices are reflected in their profit margins. And if you want to look at their profit margins, then you go to the business sheets and note that as opposed to their profit staying, their margins staying the same, meaning maybe I make a 5% profit on my gross sales or whatever, their profit goes zoom in. That zoom in profit is your money. So when you blame inflation on government, the only blame government has is not having laws that prevent corporations from stealing your money. They create a false supply and demand. Remember what I said now? A false supply and demand. During the pandemic, they made believe there's an oil shortage. There was never an oil shortage. They make believe that all the increases in prices were caused by a supply chain problem. There was not enough of a supply chain problem to justify a 9% interest rate. As Katie Porter pointed out, it should have been at highest 4.5%, which means by now it should be like at 2% or less. But the thugs in charge of our economic system, they decided that they wanted to take your money, and then they tell you it's somebody else's fault. People, that's why we do what we do, to keep people aware of what's going on. Welcome aboard, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Okay, so although the growth rate is an initial estimate that may be revised as more data comes in, it's a far cry from the recession that many had forecast at the last year, before economists realized that Americans had piled up enough savings to power spending as the Fed moved to make borrowing more expensive. So, as you can see, they've been constantly wrong over and over again, mostly because, again, these are, I've tried to tell people that our titans of finance, our titans of business, these are not the smartest cats out there. All they know how to do is make money, and they work like, an ant doesn't have the biggest brain, right? Think about it, the ant. But somehow the ant's economy is so very structured. An ant economy works like clockwork. When they're building a nest, they know how to go and attack a plant, bring it all in, take it to the field, and a very organized structure. Same with bees and collecting honey and creating the honeycomb. I mean, very efficient, very small brain, very efficient. So I look at many of people in our economic system, right? Look at it that way. The people that make things are you guys that are out there, our secretaries that know how to make things happen, our engineers, our doctors, our lawyers. Those are the people who have the big things happening. But those guys that are making billions, the one thing they know is how to take your money. Don't believe that they really, I'm going to go into the Amazon efficiency in a little bit, but don't believe that they just know all this stuff. They don't. They don't know how to make microprocessors. They don't know how to many times answer the phones like our secretary do and know how to redirect where things need to go. But what they do know how to do is use a system designed for them to make a whole lot of money by doing just a little bit of work, while everybody else, the vast majority of us, work. And at the same time, there's another good thing they know how to do. Hire companies so that you will feel worthless. Hire companies to make you believe that they need to be adored, that they have something special that you don't. And what I'm saying, that has never been the case. It has always been a facade. And every time we have a pandemic or something of that nature, the facade is exposed. The facade is exposed. Before I go into that quick Amazon article, but anyway, the GDP is growing. GDP can remain this way. And I want to point out something. There are economic theories by which different economies around the world work. And we, for the longest time since Reagan came into office, was running on something called supply side economics, also known as Reaganomics, also known as trickle down economics. That is where we give all the monies and the benefits to the people on top under the expectation that they know best. They'll create factories, etc., and it'll trickle down. There are other economic systems that says, let's make sure that those people who spend money is what we take care of, and they will democratically decide what factories need to be built. How would they democratically decide that? If I like raisin bread as opposed to rye bread, I will start buying raisin bread, and my democratic choice of raisin bread will cause there to be factories built to create raisin bread to alleviate any shortage from us wanting that. Democracy. Supply side economics is democracy for the rich. Democracy for the rich. In other words, for the person who will get the opportunity to create those factories, they will determine what bread you're going to eat, what cars you're going to drive. It's supply side. Supply side said the person who is going to provide the supply is the person who we give the benefits to. And if they're providing the supply, they decide if they will honor your request or not. When we make sure that the population at large is funded, they democratically decide what we want. So don't ever let anybody fool you that capitalism as practiced under supply side economics is democracy. It is not democracy, not even close to it. Keynesian economics, where we always make the average American whole. Whenever things are low, we make sure and pump money into the economy so that the average person has what to spend. We have good social programs, Social Security, Medicare, and all these things where we pump money. We make sure the people are taken care of so that they can then determine what to spend on. And under the Biden administration, remember, I was never a complete Biden fan because I didn't think he was progressive enough, in my humble opinion. But I've learned to love the guy as far as enough, not the best, but enough progressive policies got passed during the pandemic to prove its effectiveness even as the plutocrats are trying to claw back on it, these great economic numbers never seen in our history are occurring because the right kind of economics was being practiced. You provide money to the people democratically choose what they want to buy, what they want to have, and in doing so, the economy flourish. This is what they're trying to kill right now. With all the propaganda against Biden, and I don't support Biden on some of his policies, but ultimately an economic policy has been proven to work. Austerity fails. Supply side economics fail. Reaganomics fail. Keynesian economics with modern monetary theory techniques, which is what was done under the Biden's domain, has been successful in giving us a great economy, theoretically speaking. Now, there are some other fixes that need to be made for the people that are making less than $100,000, less than $50,000, etc. But right now, the people holding that up are the people who want to kill Keynesian economics with using modern monetary theory. That's what's holding those that need things right now. But we have proven, the theory has been proven in that we were able to build the economy for the most part for a long time without inflation after the thieving plutocrats decided to arbitrarily raise rates. Even that didn't kill the economy. Folks, we have to be critical thinkers. We have to think right. We have to think left, but anyway. But please give us a call, 713-526-5738. If you'd like to add to this discussion, 713-526-5738. Extension number 1 to donate, extension number 2 to be on air. I'd like to have them both. So why don't you call 713-526-5738 and hit extension number 1 and say, I want to contribute to a show that's keeping us informed, and then call back and hit extension 2 and just come on and have a chat with me. 713-526-5738. Una vez más lo voy a repetir, 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Folks, we need you. We need to hear from you, and we also need you to contribute to the program. So I ask you so kindly to give us a call at 713-526-5738. Let's go to Donald. Come on in, Donald. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Alberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, Donald. How can I be of assistance to you, my dear brother?
Well, you need to write Egberto's fable, because with the ant and the grasshopper, the ants can tolerate a certain number of grasshoppers. But when you bring the locusts in that will eat their own, and they're in droves and they're just taking, even the grasshopper feels bad for the poor ants that are supplying everything.
You always have one of those for me, Donald. You always have one of those for me. And you're right. And I think we could look at the locust in the whole ecosystem. We can look at the locust who takes everything, who takes the wind, who takes what everybody else has produced and just take it in swarms, right? So I think there's something to what you're saying as usual, Donald. You hear me, Donald?
Oh, no, that's it. That's all I got for today. Yes, sir.
All right. I love the analogy, Donald. I love the analogy. 713-526.
Egberto's fable.
Egberto's fable. Okay. I don't like to take that kind of credit, so I'm going to call it Donald's fable, interpreted by Egberto. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Sounds good. You have a good weekend, Alberto.
You too, my brother. Thank you so kindly for calling. 713-526-5738. Extension number 2, if you want to come on air. Extension number 1 to donate. And like I said, there are many ways to support the program. You can say, you know what? I like what Egberto is talking about. I like the information that he's given us. I like the perspective that he allows us to think on. And again, what I try to do is expand our perspective, because if you listen to standard news, you hear you hear it in a form that our indoctrinative economic system would like you to think and operate. But when I like to take it outside of the box, I like to put it the way things really are. And then I like to ask others, specifically those who may think they disagree, to come on and let's have a civil discussion of what we just talked about, right? And that way, the audience at large can actually make their decision as far as, I think I want to take that little piece that John has to say, that little piece that Egberto has to say, because I see critical thinking. It's something that they're trying to take away from us, banning books, making sure that you can't speak out against issues, knock down when you speak out against issues immediately so that we cannot see the big picture. All right. I am going to get to some of what I said I was going to talk about. But beforehand, I'd like to ask you again, call 713-526-5738, extension number 2. 713-526-5738, extension number 2, and I will be there to help you. Now, it seems like Jeremy Diamond, the banker Jamie Dimon, is having an issue with Elizabeth Warren. Notice how we talked about the economy and how things are going great. Well, since right now in our economic system, the billionaires are the ones taking the blunt, most of the money. That's what they're doing. And so Elizabeth Warren came out with something called the Accountable Capitalism Act, where she wants people to be a part of the system. She wants capitalism to be accountable to the average American citizen. And Jamie Dimon and all these bankers, they don't particularly like it. But since Mitchell is on the phone, let's go to Mitchell and then we'll continue the discussion. Come on in, Mitchell.
Hello, Egberto?
Yes, this is Egberto. Speak to me.
Hey, so I just love your show, and I love everything that you're talking about, and I do agree with all these economic policies, but how can one, as a U.S. citizen, keep being optimistic?
Oh, I lost you for a while, Mitchell. Tell me, how can you, as a U.S. citizen, then you cut off?
Oh, how can one U.S. citizen stay optimistic for the future if every single time we have a U.S. politician, they're always funded by these big bankers? So how can we be sure that they're going to change economic policies for the better of us?
All right. That is one of the best questions to ask, because people call me an idealist and an optimistic fool. And let me tell you how we are optimistic. I want you to think about how this country started. The United States of America. And by the way, I love the United States of America because, in fact, it has the ability to change. So when people say, you hate America. No, I love America, brother. I love it. Let me tell you, brother, I'm going to speak to you honestly. The way America started, it was terrible for most. It was terrible for Black people. It was terrible for Native people. It was terrible for the Chinese. It was terrible for a lot of people. And over time, yes, we've been in existence since 1789. Since I said 89 because of the Constitution, independence 1776, but 89 because of the Constitution. We've been in existence, and guess what, Brother Mitchell? We have made changes. We have made strides. We have had setbacks, but when Obama comes out and say we have always looked and moving forward, it's true. When Obama says we are who we have been waiting for, he is correct. So when you say the corporations are the ones paying the politicians and the politicians are getting by with everything, you are correct. But guess what? All we have to do is remember one magical thing. We still have one person, one vote, and even the voting corporation doesn't get a chance to take care of that yet. If we allow fascism to take hold, then that will be a problem. But as long as we still have the vote, Mitchell, as long as we still have the vote, we don't have hope. We have a command. And that is why I do what I do. That's why I gave up everything that I did to do activism, to tell folks, hey, don't believe what you're hearing on TV, like just to throw your hands up in the air. Democracy and economics is something that you fight for, and it's a fight that you never end. Because the person who is stealing and skimming your money, they never end or stop trying to figure out ways to do best at your expense. It is our job then to continue to prevent them from doing that and start looking out for us all. So as far as how do we keep the positive affirmation is this, Brother Mitchell. We have the power to do it. Let's show people how to start exerting these powers at the local level, at the state level, at the federal level. It's not going to happen overnight because of right now we are still indoctrinated and programmed into the way we do things. But guess what? Politics Done Right and many other programs are out there working with people one person at a time. Anything else, Mitchell?
Oh, that's it. Thank you so much, Alberto.
Muchísimas gracias, my friend. Thank you so kindly. Let's go to Augie. Augie, come on in. Augie is one of our great supporters of Politics Done Right and KPFT in general. We just love the way he puts his resources where his values are. Augie, come on in.
Good morning, Egberto. Just thinking about like the economy when you started talking about it and the trickle down theory from Ronald Reagan. But a lot of people forget Ronald Reagan was a Democrat at one time and a union member. In fact, he was a union president. But then why did he become a Republican? Well, he wasn't getting job offers anymore. And Nancy was a housewife. She did the house cleaning and the cooking. And when the Republicans decided to get Ronald Reagan in their grasp, they went to his house. And Nancy cooked for everybody. And they told Nancy she didn't have to cook anymore. And the Republicans got their wives to take Nancy to Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, and bought her stuff. And he saw that. I guess he saw the light went the Republican way. This trickle down theory. Somebody explained it real well to me one time. It's like a guy goes to a bar, starts drinking, and he can't get to the bathroom. So he pees down his leg, and that's us at the bottom. Down theory.
Augie, you made my day. All right, Augie. I thought Mitchell made my day by being able to give the positive speech. You also made my day with the trickling down, sir. Anyway, yeah. Augie, look, my brother, I appreciate all that you do for the station, and thank you for all the words that you always have as well, sir. Thank you so kindly, brother. Anything else real quick before I go to Art?
Yeah, the media likes to talk about GDP. They never talk about GDI, gross domestic income for the workers and the people. There's always about the GDP. It'd be great if they start talking about the GDI that affects all of us.
Well, we will do that, Augie. Thank you so kindly, as usual, for the call, and thank you for your great support, Augie.
Right. Thanks.
Let's go to Art. Come on in, Art. Art, you're on. All right, Art, come on in. You're hot. Okay, let's go to, well, I'll wait for the other one to come up. Anyway, it seems like Jamie Diamond. First, before I go there, folks, I'm at a donut. Give us a call, 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to donate, to contribute to the program. Extension number 2 to be on air, like Gonzalo will be on air in a second, and then we'll continue with Jamie Diamond. Come on in, Gonzalo. ¿Cómo estás, mi hermano favorito cubano?
Friday,
¿Cómo estás, hermano? Good morning.
Muy bien, gracias. So, a couple of comments on your quote. The American Constitution was written
by white people in the majority. So it's true there were amendments, and it has been in constant evolution, not as fast as we would like to, but it's one of the best democracies in the world. But it's sad that they did not include in the constitutions the people who were here first, because there is no Comanche, no Apache, no Mohawk in the Constitution.
Let me tell you, first of all, I don't disagree with you at all. And in fact, it's amazing because in Australia, is it either Australia or New Zealand, they just had a vote whether to recognize that in their own constitution. I think it was Australia, but I can't recall. And they voted it down. And it was the right wing who put the fear into people, saying it will be divisive. And I mean, it is, I find it astounding how we allow fear to prevent us from doing things that are right. You know, the first thing that's right is to recognize that as human beings, all of us we share more in common than any kind of pigment or physical attributes can point out. In fact, the fact that you can probably give somebody of a completely different, theoretically, ethnicity your heart when your own sister can't, should speak volumes. But again, it's all in how we teach, it's all in how we educate, and you're absolutely correct, Gonzalo. ¿Qué más me quiere decir? What else would you like to tell me?
I also want to comment that the history of Cuba and the history of Panama is full of those things too. So I don't know much about the history of Panama. Maybe you can tell us more about it. But all the patriots in Cuba were mostly white landowners who decided to give away their assets, which were the slaves, because they thought that the Industrial Revolution would be a better deal. That's the bottom line.
And they were right. I interrupted you for one reason and one reason only. Understand that slavery didn't end because people were nice. Slavery ended, and this we're talking from Brazil, Cuba, Panama, Santo Dominican, all of these places, because the Industrial Revolution made slavery a very inefficient system, right? Because you had to clothe and feed and keep the slave alive. A machine, you don't, right? So you nailed it, Gonzalo. I got some more calls to go, Gonzalo. Así que, hermano mío,
all right,
muchísimas gracias por llamar. You have a great day, my brother. Hey, we have the one and only Melissa en la línea. Come on in, Melissa. How are you doing? Wait, let's see. He's going to get to you in 1 second. You're not on yet. Jack's going to pull you up in a minute to get Melissa on the air. Let's see. Melissa, you're on now, Melissa. Come on in.
Hello. How are you? Good morning. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Roberto. I only wanted to chime in about the whole citizen thing. 14th Amendment done that. It gave them appeasement, to tolerate and deal with us. But technically, they still have to clothe and feed us because we're not citizens. Constitution, we're not in there. And it's only because of the 14th Amendment that, we are even being tolerated. That was it. Good morning.
Okay. Let me just
talk about the WV4, W4V, I believe. And that would definitely let you, if everyone would just go and research that. That's like something that's aid to African Americans, but we're not.
What is it called, Melissa?
W4V. It's a form that every Black citizen should fill out.
Okay, you just gave me some news. I got to go do some research. See, I tell you, I have some smart listeners because, again, I got something to go research on. W4V. I'll go look that up. Yes. Thank you, Melissa. You have a wonderful day. All right, let's go to Art. Come on in, Art.
All right. Hey, thanks for taking my call. So something I noticed when it comes to free speech. No, sorry, that's different. Yeah, free speech and warmongering. So I know Democrats get, they're always trying to start wars in Ukraine or whatever. Well, now the Republicans are doing the same because they all want to start wars with Iran, and they want to cancel anybody that's against Israel, like Ben Shapiro and that Megyn Kelly. So now they're part of this cancel culture. They're all for free speech up until it affects them, and I think that goes both ways. It's always been like that. Always been like that, and it's not fair to one side or the other to not self-reflect, look in the mirror, and be like, you know what? If we're going to be against war, it should be against all wars. Or if we're going to be attack this country, we should attack all. You can't say you're for free speech, and then someone says something you don't like, and then you want to get them fired. It's Republicans are just as bad. That's why I'm independent. Yes.
Art. First of all, you nailed it. Okay. Let me give you a free speech issue that just happened to me last night. Last night, as you know, I'm a contributing editor to the Daily Kos. All right. And the Daily Kos is the largest liberal website, blog post site, everything in the country. We have conferences every year. Yesterday, I wrote something, and it wasn't a negative on Israel. It was a negative on Netanyahu, a negative on how this stuff was going. And I said, I'm not talking the Israel-Hamas war. I'm just pointing out a technique of what you just said. Okay. So I wrote about it, and some of the senior editors at the blog didn't like it. They banned, not me, they banned the article. And of course, whenever one of your articles get banned there, you have to kind of okay it so that you can start posting and commenting again. So I did, so I could start posting and commenting. And I said nothing. I could have raised hell and gone to the owner, who's my friend, and said, hey, look at what your people did. They banned my stuff. Please take care of that. I didn't do that. I just let it slide. Organically, a new post comes up, and it went and it hit what they call the headlines, right? In other words, if your posts get enough traction, it goes to the top of the trend list, etc. Well, I was just perusing and noticed there is an article that went to the top of the trend list with my name in the title. I was kind of shocked. I'm like, whoa, why are they writing about me on the top of the title? People like you saw what was done to the article, because if people subscribe to my particular blogs at Daily Kos, they will see it. So somebody like you saw it and got ticked off and said, how dare you ban him from saying that? And it went viral on the site. And soon thereafter, the article becomes active again. People have to do what you just did there, which is
go ahead. It was meant to be.
Right. But what I'm saying, Art,
it was meant to be for that article. Yeah.
Right. Art, what I'm saying is, what you're saying is correct. When I don't believe in the cancel culture, what they did to the right wingers in Berkeley, I spoke up against it. And when the right wingers do about banning books and doing other things, I speak up against it. I believe in open conversation as long as it's not going to cause you harm. And I think you're right on that. I think you're absolutely right on that. Anything else you'd like to add?
Lastly, so I don't know. I know this can open a can of worms, but you earlier you said one man, one vote.
Yes.
I believe that was the time, but I don't think that's being applied through the current Democratic establishment nationally. Just the way, and I'm a RFK guy, and the way he was abandoned, where he was forced to run independent. They didn't want to keep it fair to where they had one man, one vote. They didn't want that. They needed him out of the picture, pretty much force him to run independent so he doesn't take away votes from Biden. But I think Biden's taking away votes from Biden. Now we're looking at.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. Biden taking away votes from Biden. You're right about that.
Newsom is now, he visited China. I think he went to Israel. So it's like, is he setting himself up to be that Democratic person to run? I don't know. It's still early, but the whole one man, one vote, it should be that. It should just keep it like that. They shouldn't have to send millions of dollars down to whatever state and to try to influence the people. The people can make their own decisions. So,
and let me correct that. First of all, that is how it's currently being run. That the party machine still has more power than it should, right? But
right.
Just like when I was speaking to Mitchell earlier today, you notice I told him there's still one person, one vote, and that can be mitigated if people vote. Look, most Americans are progressive, whether folks want to accept it or not. When I have a questionnaire and I ask people what it is that they want, ultimately, the things that they want are what progressives promote. Okay? So that said, that's not what we have. Even right wingers are progressive, but they don't vote in the particular people that would give them the policies that they want. So my thing is to get rid of, I'm not telling folks not to be a Republican. I'm not telling folks not to be a Democrat. I'm telling folks to simply vote their interests, and things would automatically fall in line. So I'm with you on one person, one vote. I am not with you in that somehow the party could run Kennedy. If the average Democrat didn't want Kennedy gone, Kennedy would not be gone. Look, I have a good friend, good supporter who loves Kennedy and wants me to put Kennedy on air. And I try to reach out to the Kennedy folks, but I guess they read some of the things that I wrote. But I would have him on just because of what you said there. He needs the opportunity to hear. But again, it's still one person, one vote, and you have the power to do it if we get together and do it. But we just have to do it. We can't sit on our butts. We got to do it. It's that simple.
Yes,
anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Art. You have a wonderful day. Let's go to Peter. Come on in, Peter.
Good morning and happy Friday, Egbert. Politics done right.
Happy Friday, Peter.
That's right. Friday is happy, and thank you so much for enlightening us about the Keynesian economics and, of course, the famous Reagan trickle-down economics, and honestly, a good hybrid, kind of what the goal should be. And as far as Whitmire, that's the only thing I kind of sort of like about him. What I heard him talk about was, I don't like, the election deniers and all that, but what I did like, what he was saying was that he would work with Texas State, since we're in a surplus, to get monies and whatever projects we do here in our city, that he would actually get matching funds. That's the only thing I really like. And I think, honestly, this election and the next couple election cycles will come down to integrity and those types of innovative ideas. And but myself personally, I can't actually vote for either, for mayor, basically. And that's what I was calling to ask you, Egberto. Can you actually vote for mayor up where you're at, or?
I can vote for Houston mayor. I live in Kingwood, and we actually vote for the mayor. And I've already told everybody that I think of all the people running, I am voting for Sheila Jackson Lee, and the reason why is I think she's better equipped to for Houston problems. I mean, that isn't to say that I love my choices. I would much have preferred to have a younger person running. I really had liked Amanda Edwards when Amanda Edwards was running, because I think Amanda Edwards does a lot. But my line is filling up, and I got to also get some stuff. So I'll give you a chance to give one quick plug before I take off. Go ahead, my brother.
All right, so thank you for having me on. And the only quick, just counterpoint I'll say to Sheila is that she was talking about getting funds from the federal government, which we know is 37 trillion in debt. And in case I'm a candidate, and I would love to work on being a watchdog and actually bring down our debt. I have a lot of outstanding ideas. And
you're running in District 2 in Go ahead.
That's right. I'm saying I'm Peter Feller. I'm a candidate for U.S. House District 2, and I'll actually be coming up to your neck of the woods because I want to talk to some folks, and especially since you can vote for mayor, I think you'll probably have a good turnout in your neck of the woods. So I'll be up there.
Thank you, brother. Got to go. Peter, we'll be there to see you.
Have a great day.
I'll be there to see you. Take care, buddy. All right, let's go to Daniel Garcia. Come on in, Daniel Garcia. How are you doing?
How you doing, Humberto? Listen, I called a couple times already. I'm a union man. I spoke to you a couple days ago. However,
yes, sir.
To you, there was a young lady that called in here recently about you had just repeated it. You said you were going to do some research on it. What was that? She said it was?
She said it's a W4V. W4V. And I'm going to look it up. I don't know what it is, but I'll definitely look it up. I love learning from everybody. So she said, look up W4V.
Right. Well, I'm definitely going to look that up as well. However, I did. There's a little page I follow called Occupy Democrats, and I came across this post that they had called Project 2025,
mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure if you've heard of it before, but I started reading up a little bit about it. It's called it's about a presidential transition project, the 2025 presidential transition project.
It's put out by the right wing. Yes.
Yes. So, can you educate me a little bit on that?
Okay. I haven't read the entire document, but I can tell you what the gist is. The gist is they want, when Bannon talks about deconstructing the administrative state, that's what they're talking about. They want to create a strong executive. They want to get rid of the different agencies. And I mean, in effect, it's the officialization of the fascist state, if you want to put it that way. That's what it is. Yeah. And by the way, I know Omar. Omar is the owner of that group. We meet at Daily Coast all the time.
Okay, good enough. Well, good talking to you, Humberto, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Muchas gracias, hermano. You have a great day. Let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning, Humberto. What I wanted to say is I'll add to what Augie said about Ronald Reagan. The Democratic Party, like he once stated, left him. He didn't leave the Democratic Party, meaning that he didn't like the fact that it was moving away from traditional America, and it had more people of color in it. And I'll say this about the supply side economics to add to Donald's analogy: vote out these supply side rodent politicians at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level. Get as many progressives elected so we can move Joe Biden further left if he gets a second term, to get more things done for most Americans who need government to be their friend, and they need government programs. That's what we got to have. And kudos to Melissa for that W4V. I'm going to look that up. Thanks for educating the public, Melissa. And thank you, Roberto Willis, for continuing to educate on economics. Have a good weekend. Howard,
you too, Harry.
Vote those rodent rats out.
All right, Harry. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you. Hey, Melissa, I tell you, I need you to do something for me, because everything that I am coming up with is that W4 type form. So go ahead and drop a line. You have the email address info@politics. Well, let's do this one: kpft@politicsdoneright.com. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Send me a link. So that, because we want to make sure we're talking the same thing. Send me a link, Melissa, if you're on air listening. Anyway, folks, I'm still at a donut, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. You still have a couple of minutes. You can give whenever, and just remember to say that it is in the name of Politics Done Right. Please remember to say in the name of Politics Done Right. I have a thank you to give that came in after time yesterday. I want to pull that up real quick. And that is for a great supporter who called Joe Alton. Thank you so kindly for supporting both Politics Done Right and Democracy Now! We appreciate your contribution to our program. Now, but today we are currently at a donut. So please, I don't want to have to increase the amount of money I got to make tomorrow. So please give us a call, 713-526-5738. Extension number 1 to give, extension number 2 to we're done with speaking on air now. All the calls are to go ahead and support the program. 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to support. Folks, we really do need your support. I'm pretty sure that you get something out of this program. So please, I ask you so kindly, consider becoming a supporting member by saying, $5 a month. $10 a month, a coffee a month or 2 coffees a month. That will be the magic for us. If we can get several people to do that, it's not a hard thing to do. Again, a coffee a month, 2 coffees a month, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. Please remember to put that this contribution is for Politics Done Right. The subjects that we were supposed to cover today, the mayor, the escalation, etc. Go ahead. You want to say something, Jack?
No, Sandy's going to pitch with you. Say something, Egberto.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack. Hey, Sandy, how you doing?
Good. I'm here bright and early this morning.
What are you doing in the studio so early?
Well, I'm filling in for Howard, so I was real nervous and wanted to get here early, So, hey, folks, it's early in the morning, and Egberto is up, and he's talking Politics Done Right, and he doesn't have anyone that's called in any support for this program. What are we to do about that? It's got a $300 goal, which means he's $300 short this morning. Come on. 3 of you picking up the pumpkin t-shirt or 1 in just doing the deed would really help out. We need to have a good Friday here, fundraising wise. We're closing in on the Bell Lap, which starts on Monday morning for us. Will be the final week of Fund Drive, and we're not quite halfway yet. So we got a long way to go and a short time to get there, Egberto.
And we're going to do it. Hey, guys, Sandy is the manager, so I got the manager pitching for me. Hey, I'm going to make that $300 in a penny. I'm going to get that $300 right now, man. Look, folks, give us a call, 713-526-5738. You know that your money is going to KPFT for great things. You say it. I hear it. I get the emails. Let's ask you so kindly. 713-526-5738. Sandy, take it.
Yeah, I want to thank Frank D., who at 1:22 this morning became the first person to pledge on this Friday here in Houston, Texas, supporting community radio. We do it this way, folks. The money comes from you, not from commercial sponsors. Ergo, you can hear Egberto where, well, maybe Fox wouldn't put you on, Egberto. What do you think? You think you'd have a regular Fox show? How come?
They won't. No, they wouldn't. We tell too much of the truth, Sandy. You know that.
Yeah, well, we need a little more truth in our ongoing politics all the way around. Folks, we're asking you to put down some money for KPFT so we can continue independent broadcasting, independent of commercials, independent of those that would like to buy the media for their own targeted messaging. This is your friends and neighbors like Egberto, 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. And thank you for what you do, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly. We got to get out of here. So, folks, Jack, give me a closer.
All you ghouls have lots of fun on Halloween.
I love that. Anyway, folks, you know how we end this baby. Call 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Donate. Let's keep this thing going. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how we end. Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.